Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're firing up the engines to explore the golden age of American muscle cars. We're talking mid-60s to early 70s.
That iconic period, yeah.
You shared some great articles, some really good research on this, and our mission really is to pull out the key stuff, understand why these cars still, capture the imagination.
Absolutely, because it was so much more than just cars, wasn't it?
Exactly. It felt like a whole cultural movement.
It really was. You think about Detroit back then. I mean, undisputed heart of the auto industry.
Giving us legends like the Mustang, the Camaro, the Charger.
Exactly. And picture it, the sound, that V8 roar echoing down the streets. It just screams freedom, power.
A real visceral feeling, just driving enjoyment.
Pure joy behind the wheel.
Okay, so let's dig under the hood a bit. What were the key things that allowed this whole muscle car thing to explode? What were the catalysts?
Well, if you look at the big picture, a few things lined up perfectly. You had the post-war economic boom.
Right, more disposable income.
Exactly. More people had more cash. And this happened right alongside this burgeoning car culture in America. Owning a car, driving a car, it became tangled up with who you were, how you spent your time.
Personal identity, leisure.
Yeah. And critically, you can't ignore the sheer ingenuity coming out of the American automakers. They were really pushing the envelope, performance design.
So young adults, returning vets, they had money and they wanted something exciting.
Precisely. They didn't just want an A to B car. They wanted something with flair, with power, something that said something about them.
And what was the moment? The sources mentioned this horsepower race. What actually lit the fuse?
Pretty much everything points to 1964, the Pontiac GTO.
The GTO, often called the first true muscle car.
Widely considered, yeah. And its impact was, well, immediate, huge. That one car basically threw down the gauntlet.
Kicked off the competition.
Oh, yeah. A really intense, thrilling race to build the fastest, coolest machines.
Now, a name that pops up again and again in the research is John Z. DeLorean. What was his role in all this?
DeLorean was absolutely pivotal, a real visionary,
Yeah.
An icon of that whole innovative, ambitious spirit. His work at Pontiac, especially getting the GTO off the ground.
Yeah.
Legendary.
He saw the market.
He really did. He understood the emerging use market, saw they wanted performance, style, but crucially, something they could actually afford, relatively speaking. He pushed GM's boundaries to make it happen.
And it wasn't just about speed, was it? The style factor seems huge, and that's where Larry Shinoda comes in.
Exactly right. I mean, horsepower grabbed the headline, sure, but the look, that was critical.
Shinoda. Corvette Stingray, right. Not strictly muscle, but definitely that era's vibe.
Precisely. He might be most famous for the Stingray, which embodies those design trends, but his influence was broader. He pushed automotive aesthetics, those sleek lines, aggressive stances.
That long hood, short deck look.
Became a hallmark, yeah. It was that combination, potent looks, potent engine that just grabbed the generation.
Freedom, a bit of rebellion even.
Tapped right into it, a visual statement against the ordinary.
Okay, this is where it gets even more interesting. Some surprising facts really show the cultural side, like the term muscle car itself. Where did that come from?
Well, the sources seem to agree 1964, first time in print.
Really? The same year as the GTO?
Yep. Car Life magazine used it to describe the GTO. Shows how quickly this whole new category was recognized, given its own label.
Wow. And then there's the Plymouth Roadrunner, naming a car after a cartoon, and the beep beep horn.
Yeah. That's just brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pure pop culture meets Detroit muscle.
So it was deliberate.
Totally deliberate. The Roadrunner was meant to be back to basics, affordable power, the cartoon tie-in. It just perfectly captured that spirit. Fast, fun, a little bit cheeky.
Shows how deep these cars got into the culture.
Absolutely intertwined. A fantastic example.
Okay, so for listeners who might be feeling that pull, maybe getting a bit of that high-octane nostalgia, let's touch briefly on the collector's market. Not financial advice, obviously, but what should people know if they're drawn to these classics?
Yeah, that's a good point, because that fascination definitely translates into collector interest today.
And the prices can be, well, all over the place, right?
Dramatically so. Research is absolutely key. The sources really emphasize that. You need to look for rust, obviously. Engine condition, the drivetrain.
And authenticity is huge.
Crucial. Yeah. Checking the VIN, finding original factory documentation if possible, and original parts. They make a massive difference in value in the collector world. You can't overstate that.
And beyond just buying, the sources mentioned enthusiast communities.
Oh, absolutely. Joining a car club is invaluable. You get access to knowledge, help finding parts, which can be tough.
And just connecting with people who share that passion.
Exactly. Like those outside-the-box ideas mentioned, going to car shows, talking to experienced collectors, that's where you really learn.
Even subtle upgrades are discussed, like for reliability.
Yeah, things like electronic ignition, improving reliability without, sacrificing the car's original character. It's a common balancing act in those communities.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway? What's the core story of this golden age?
Well, when you pull it all together, it's clear this is this incredibly vibrant, influential movement.
Yeah.
It was fueled by serious engineering innovation,
That fierce competition we talked about.
right? Pushing performance constantly,
Mm.
and just this genuine passion from the public. People loved the power, the style, the feeling of the open road these cars offer.
They weren't just appliances.
Not at all. They resonated deeply.
Yeah.
That American spirit of individuality, freedom,
Hmm.
it was all wrapped up in that metal.
Couldn't have said it better. These muscle cars, they really are more than just horsepower and speed. They're symbols, aren't they? Testaments to a unique time in American history, a celebration of innovation, style.
Definitely. A specific moment captured.
So here's something to think about as we finish. How does that whole era, that blend of innovation, culture, our relationship with cars compare to today? What are the parallels? What's starkly different? What does muscle even mean for cars now?
That's a fascinating question to ponder, actually. What is the muscle of today?